Latinos for Trump, I need you to get your DNA test so that you can find out just how black you are. Because if you don't know how black you are, trust me, the white supremacists of this nation specifically, they know the history that you don't know about yourself or that you don't want to admit or embrace about yourself. And as long as the white supremacists of this nation know that you hate your blackness, they are going to continue to use that against you to divide you from all of the other Afro descendants that you should be connected to. Because whether you like it or not, you have a shared history. You do not come from a racial utopia, and no matter how much you don't want to talk about race or say that race doesn't exist, which we all know is a biblical principle. Nobody's arguing that, but the fact of the matter is race is connected to systems of oppression that are very much real and very much weaponized against people. This is the history that you cannot get away from. More than 10 million people were sent to Latin America and the Caribbean between 1525 and 1866. The numbers for Latin America dwarf those for the United States. Estimated 388,000 to 450,000 enslaved Africans were brought directly to the territory that would become the U.S. This number represents a small fraction of the total 10.7 million Africans who survived the transatlantic slave trade. There is this remarkable documentary called Afro-Latinos that was done about 15 years ago by two amazing historians who actually were able to pinpoint that the total number of enslaved Africans that were brought to the Americas equaled close to 12.5 million in total. So out of that number, we're being given this 10.7 million Africans who survived. But look at the significantly smaller amount of enslaved Africans that were sent to the United States compared to the Caribbean, compared to all of Latin America. That is a huge, huge number. So no matter what percentage of African ancestry you may have, the fact is that you have it, and that makes you a part of the African story. That means you have a shared history with Afro descendants all over the world. If you come from a colonized nation, you need to understand that without your blackness, you would not be who you are. And it does not matter how many European colonizers you have in your lineage that you insist on glorifying and including into the person that you are. The fact of the matter is you are a part of the African story. And as long as you continue to glorify your colonizers, white supremacists will always make a fool of you. White supremacists will always use you to advance their agenda, which in the end does not benefit you at all, even if you may think that it does. Listen, I am an Afro-Dominican. I am a black person in the diaspora, descended from the Cibao region in Dominican Republic, which is believed to have the highest concentration of white ancestry in the Dominican Republic. Yet here I stand with 54% West African ancestry. I have 8% indigenous ancestry, and I have 38% European ancestry. And according to the research that I've done of family members that I've been able to find, I have generations of family from the Cibao region in Dominican Republic. For anyone who wants to argue, well, maybe your family came from another region of blacker people and that's why you're getting those numbers. No, people need to understand the history of where you come from. And for people to even try to argue about the impact of the African presence in Latin America, people who want to argue specifically about my own history, you are not aware of just how deep the African presence was, even in areas where you thought that it wasn't even that prominent, because people get stuck on phenotypical presentation. But when you start to learn about how genetics work, you learn that some genes are suppressed and that your genetic composition is not always going to express itself phenotypically. I know someone else that I came across right here on TikTok that has the same percentage of African DNA that I have, 54%. And this person presents phenotypically different than I do. That person is going to be more accepted as a visibly black person than I have been amongst Latin Americans. Not amongst black Americans that understand that someone like me is a visibly black person, but through the lens of someone from Latin America, specifically in Dominican Republic, where I'm categorized as a white person? Of course not. Understand, black and brown people, we come from a powerful shared history. We are a part of the African story. And if you have indigenous ancestry in you that has survived, understand you come from survivors. That ancestry is still within you. Generations after, we know for a fact that so many genocides were carried out all across Latin America. Right? And Dominican Republic, out of Puerto Rico, Cuba, and DR, has the lowest concentration of indigenous ancestry. So even for me in 2025 to still find that number is pretty impressive. But people have to stop glorifying their colonizers. Stop glorifying your colonizers, because they're not doing anything for you. And the white supremacists of this world, they see you even if you do not want to see yourself. Yahweh bless.